we have our doorway set up here, and I'm just going to jump straight in and get some windows done. I want to put windows onto these units. I'll go with a different design on this one. I think I'm going to round the top of these windows, but I want to keep it uniform looking, I guess. So for the sake of consistency when it comes to this, I think what I'm going to do actually is I'll move this across a little. So I'm going to just take a copy of the single window we have here, and I want to line him up at the side. I'm basically just interested in where the other half of that window is, to be honest. What happened there? Oh, okay, I didn't copy it. Alright, never mind. Now, I know that when I made this window, I made it larger because I wanted to have a variety of sizes for these, and I was starting out with larger and kind of working my way down. If you can see now, actually, in comparison with that doorway that we done on the last video, that window is actually enormous in comparison to the door. So maybe for the sides here, on this piece of wall, I'll probably scale down a bit. So I'm just going to keep this here as a reference. I know I don't want to quite go that size, but I'll probably use a lot of the proportions. And I'll try to scale it down a bit and just see how it looks in comparison to what would be considered a pretty large door, like a main entrance. You don't want the window to be the largest point there. Well, for break and entering reasons, I guess. But let's just get started, and we'll try out a different size and just see how it looks. So I kind of have this here. I want to work in the middle of the grid here. So for the moment, I just want to hide everything that isn't these. And with that, I'll just move these over so that the angled doorway is probably in the center, or close enough to the center. Right, so with that, I want to right click and snap my cursor to world origin. And we'll start working here. Now I'm going to bring in a primitive object for this. I'll create a cylinder. Now I don't need 32 vertices on the top of this. I do want it rounded, but maybe not 32. So I'll bring this down. Let's try 24. Right, now I'm just going to take this and rotate it towards the camera view. Now I'll scale it down, and we can use our orthographic view and just line this up. So that will be the top of the window. That's how I'm going to get my curve here. Now I'll remove this face and the face with the back as well. So that leaves me then with an empty cylinder. And I'll just kind of compress this in a bit and pull it forward. From that point and that point down, I want to remove. So I'll just remove those faces. Now in edge mode, I can grab these edges because from this point, I'm going to extrude these down. And it will give me the long edge of that window there. And just with the two of them selected, I'll press F and just join a face along the bottom. Now I can adjust this to the size that I want. So I'll go back into front orthographic and I'll scale it a little, scale the whole thing. So actually I think this is kind of visually distorting how much area of this wall I have to play with here. So I'll move them across a little. I think I'll go roughly the height of the door with this and just see how that looks. But I'll bring the bottom down in line with this one. So I'll grab the bottom face here and just bring him down roughly in line. So just below that grid line there, I think should probably do it. I will take a row of edges from this, take the front row, Shift D to duplicate, P to separate. And I'll just pull that forward a bit. Now with the wall selected and my cutter selected, I'll isolate them I select it like that. There we go. Now mesh, knife project, cut through. Now I'll just try and remove these and see how it looks. I'll just go with it for now, I think, and I can make another one if I feel it's needed. But I'll just close up these gaps here. So let me grab the wall. I'll go to edge mode and I'm just going to press Alt and click on these open edges, top and bottom. And now in my edge menu here at the top bar, I'll click on that and I'll say bridge edge loops. And that'll bridge straight through the object. Now I need to fix up the UVs on it, but it will do its best job of kind of trying to fill in that gap there for me. So then with that, I just need to do the same on the other side. Because of the way it's designed here, it's not a simple case of just put a symmetry modifier onto this and then it'll appear properly on the other side. This kind of has to be calculated manually. So to stop the clutter, I'm basically just going to use this main object here and I'll isolate that along with the door piece. Now, if I go into top down here, orthographic, and I'll just keep a look here on where the pivot point to this object is, and I want to make sure I can see the grid in the back here. So I know this is the furthest part of the object. Opposite side would be here. So if I look it then in on a full grid piece, if you can see the way the grid lines are, the darker grid lines, that's what I'm paying attention to here. If I look at this pivot point of the window object and I look at that darker grid point, I can see that that is on the third step in from that grid point. So I basically just want to make sure I get that set up on the third from this point here. So to do that, I'll just duplicate the window and I'll rotate it. I'll give it 45 degrees and I'm going to bring that down here. Now I'll zoom on it. So the third grid point from this, which would be this line here, that would make more sense. So that looks about right. So to project, I need a set of edges here, so I'll just extract a set of edges from this, Shift D and separate selection. Okay, I'll just move the window side for the moment, and I will select the wall, go into edit mode, select everything, select my cutter, and now I'll go into X orthographic and the usual knife project and cut through. So I'll remove the cutter here, it's done its job, and I'll just fill this hole. So again, I just want to select the outside edges, front and back, and in my edge menu here I'll bridge edge loops. Okay, so I just got to quickly then unwrap these, the new UVs that we were given. I'll then make windows using these pieces here, but for the moment I just want to isolate this wall by itself. Now we have to fix up the polygons here, because we can see here we've got some n-gons. So similar to what we've done with the door, I'm just going to grab the corners and I'll join them. Just press the J key. Let me actually turn on, have I got a shortcut here? I do. Now, this is a bit of a mess, but I think we can kind of just zigzag this for the moment. Hopefully it won't affect the textures. I'll press K to go to the knife tool, and I have an edge here, a ferret I could use, so I'll actually I'll cut these first, and maybe starting from here. Starting from this, I might try come up, and I'll just zigzag till I get to the center point here, and now I'll go to this side. okay. Now look at our texture. It doesn't seem to be affected. I think we might be okay with that. But then I just got to do the same here. This might be a bit of an extreme angle to get. Now, so the knife tool seemed to do the job there. I should only have tris and quads here. Now, it's not ideal topology, but I think it'll do the job. I'll go with it, and I can, if it starts giving me problems down the line, I'll try to think of a better way to do that. But for the moment, I'll just give that a shot. So off camera, I'm going to quickly just do the same to that side and the other window side as well. So I'll get that done and we can catch up there. Okay, so I got everything fixed up here, and in the process I actually realized that I did make a mistake somewhere. It's only when I got the outside done here fine. When I turned to the inside, I noticed the gap here between that side of the wall where the door is and the window is much smaller than this here. So that would mean that the available space on this side is actually smaller than that. Now, it might not seem like a big deal, but further down the line when we're putting things in, or if we had, let's say, a drain pipe or something coming down here, it could obstruct a section of the window there if it's not positioned correctly as it is on this side. So there we'd have more room to play with, and over here we might find ourselves cutting in front of the window, which would kind of ruin the design of it. So unfortunately that is something I need to fix, but it's not a bad fix. I showed you the way of using the grid to kind of line things up. For this one I can just skip all that. I'll take the easy approach here. I'm just going to go into top down, and I know that this is turned at a 45-degree angle, so if I just rotate this then 45, that will give me a straight here. So with that I can just, because I've rotated this, I need to make sure that that's reset. So before I reset that, I want to just turn snap on and set this to the world origin there. I'll actually just press Alt G to make sure that that's then snap that world center. And now I'll turn on X-ray. So I need to go into edit mode for that. Turn on X-ray, and I'm just going to select through this object. I want to select everything on what I would call here the ruined side. So with that, I'll just press X and remove those faces. I'll go back into top down, turn off X-ray, and now I just need to reset the X-form on this. Because I rotated that 45 degrees backwards, I need to set all transforms, and now I can apply a mirror onto this, and that will work out okay for us. So now we're actually just copying that geometry over to here, so that'll work out fine. And on the inside we can see the distance in our window there. If I just apply this quickly, the distance is identical. So from that we just then need to return this 45 degrees. So I'll go top down, snap that to 45, and that's pretty much where we left off. So I'll come out of isolation and then I'll just move him back into place. I had him at that point, I believe. Alright, so that's fixed. Now I just need to deal with this. So I'm going to unwrap this and this from here. Although the wall section here, let me go into isolate with this so I see it better. The wall section here might look like it's alright, but that will need to be fixed up too. So I will do the same there. Just unwrap each piece. And the top one here, I can actually probably do that as one. I don't really know what I'm going to do there. That'll cause an issue with the arch that's going on. But I'll just select them all, and I'll do them as one for now. Like every other window, I might actually end up covering all this. Or am I actually wasting my time doing that? Because I probably will just cover that. If it's done the same way this one here is, I am just wasting my time, I think. So I'm going to stop what I'm doing there. I'm just going to remove these. No point making it harder on myself. I'll just delete those faces. And now I can set this up. I'll bring this back. And I'll need to come out of snap for this. But I'm just going to do the same kind of setup I've done here with the earlier windows. If you go back to look at the window chapter, you'd probably see what I'm doing here. But I'm not going to go into full detail about it. I'm just going to quickly get the window shape cut out of it. Or put into it, I should say. So I want a little bit of an overhang on either side. And with that, I will set all transforms, and now I will... Actually, I'll just leave that there. I think that might be alright. Now, with that, I'll give it solidify. And I want to bring it in. And I want to kind of go into front orthographic here, so I can just kind of compare the thickness of those window frames we've already done and get something similar with this. So if I can get both in shot, it looks like this needs a little more. And I just want to make sure that even thickness is checked on there, so we get that nice even edge around. Alright, I'll take that. Apply, and now I'm going to duplicate that. And I'll go into front auto again, and I'm going to set origin to geometry. And now I'll just scale that down a bit so I can kind of see. I want the edges here to line up first. So I'll scale it down till their edges are inside. Something like that would be fine. And now I'm just going to move this down. I'll start with the bottom. Get it lined up on the bottom here. And now with the top I can just go into edit mode. Want to select everything. I might need to go X-ray on this. So I'll select 3D object. I want to take all those top bits and I'll just move them up. And that will kind of line then the inside window for me. So I can grab my face tool, face select, and I'm just going to pull that in, and I'll give this frame similar to like what we had going on here. The dark wood there. So I'll just bring it in roughly the same. It's okay to be a little different here, I guess. And on this side we'll do the same there. Maybe bring that forward a bit. Right, okay, now just to keep everything kind of uniform here, what I'll do, I'll take the sill from this, I'll make a copy of him, Shift D, turn on my snap, and I'll just bring him forward. Now this might be a little off, it is off, okay, so I'll just go into front orthographic, turn off my snap. I'm actually going to isolate the wall and the frames here. Yeah, I'll just manually line this up. So I can vaguely see that there's the corner I want there. So this is way too wide. I need to kind of scale him in. So I'll scale him in on the x-axis till he's overhanging the sides just a touch. Okay, that looks probably alright there. Alright, I'll go with that. Now, we scaled this, so we need to reset all transforms. And now, because we scaled it, it means the texture probably needs to be readjusted. So I don't need to re-UV it, it's already there. All I need to do is press U, and I'll unwrap it again. And now I can just go into my editing window. I need to set here, what'll I put this as? AO2 diffuse. Now I can just rotate this and I'll pack. And that should fix the stretching. Okay, so with that, again, I'm not going to chew into the video's length here. I'm going to just copy this over to that side there, along with the sill. And I'm just going to I'll make a quick window inset here. Similar to what we've done in the other videos. I'm not going to go over it again because it will just take time that we could use on other things. So I will do that off camera and come back and we can see how it looks. Well, I went ahead and just done the inset for this. Took me maybe 2 minutes. I was just basically extruding parts of what we already had, and I quickly unwrapped them. I took this cross piece here. That's just a copy of the bottom here. So I took basically those faces, made a copy, gave them a bevel, retextured them, and then from that I just took that and I copied out this fella here. So I wanted this basically to have an open top, well, a large open top, and then 2 smaller pieces here from the side. Just something to break away from what we already had here. So the only thing I need to do now is give this some glass. So what I could do actually is I'll take one of these. Now they have some parenting applied to them, I think. Let me just test that. Yeah, so I need to break the parent of this first. So I'll first separate the selection, and maybe that alone is enough to break the parent. No, it's not. Okay, so I'll select the one to copy here, and I'll go to Object, Parent, and Clear and Keep Transformation. Now that should fix me up. Okay, so now I'm just going to turn this into window parts for here. So I will line them up first. And I think at some point I want to duplicate this into, maybe give, if we wanted to make like a kind of rundown part of the building or whatever, or maybe the whole thing was a rundown building, we're going to want broken windows. So instead of doing one solid piece here, I'm going to cut this into 3 separate pieces. So maybe this one here could be broke while the other 2 are intact, you know. So I'll just quickly reset the transforms on that and set origin to geometry. Now I'll move him backwards into the mesh. Maybe give it there and go front orthographic, and I'll copy that. Shift D and I'll just move him over. And one more for the top. Now I need to rescale this one here, so I'll grab my scale tool. Now, that's that. I'll just reset all transforms one more time. And now with the tree selected, I'll set origin to geometry. That'll snap it back for me. So now I just need to, you can see the UVs, the kind of streaking on this looks kind of compressed down now because we scaled it. So I'll quickly just re-unwrap the 3 of these. So I'll isolate them. Grab my polys, press A, U, unwrap. So we can see down here they all unwrapped. So I'll just go into my editor. And I kind of need to do this one by one, I think. So I need to come out of constrain and I'll bring them outside the map, and I'll quickly just change this for the right. I think it's AO1 rough to give me that streak. Here's what I'm looking for. So I'll just kind of get myself into a position where I can see the effect on these windows. And I'll start with him. I'm just going to bring him up and scale him down into one of these wooden lats. And we want something that has the darker patch. That will give us the most reflectivity. And we kind of want those vertical streaks as well. So something like that. Now I'll just do the same with this one. I'll give him a different part of the map. He'll be down here. Now, this larger piece is going to be quite squished, so I think he needs to be rotated anyway. So I'll just turn him once. Now I'll scale him down. So he's going to be quite compressed. It doesn't matter though, because it's quite a small effect anyway, so. Okay, something like that will do. Just enough grime to show that it's not clean is all we're looking for. Okay, so with that then, that's the kind of rounded window done for the entrance. So I will need to duplicate that for this side, so I'll take the quick way of this. I'm just going to remove that. I will select everything here, work my way out, and once I have it all there, I'm just going to press Ctrl J and join them. Now I want to rotate this back, so I'm going to turn it backwards 45 degrees. I'll reset transforms, and now I'll give a mirror. Apply that mirror, and now I can just turn this back 45. And that sets me up on both sides. Okay, so that's our windows cut into this now. And I kind of went over my time budget for this one, so I think in the next one what I'm going to do is we're going to make some entrance steps. So basically what that's going to be like is we're going to take a part of this wall, let's say, copy him, and he will be turned into, if you imagine, let's say the whole thing was elevated, this whole doorway would be coming up, so something like that. And we're going to have steps that come up to this doorway here. So we're going to be making these kind of parts which are going to be like ground level, but we could put little like decorative bits into that, like some basement windows could come in here as well. We're going to make some steps in the next. It's going to be a little trickier than what we're used to, but it's doable. So with that, I'll see you in the next one.